Excellent. So last week we talked about being your own PR agent, because, we're all kind of small business owners, and it's not feasible to hire like a PR agency to come in and to try to land us media coverage or podcast spots or things like that. So we have to kind of pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and do that on our own. So last week I came in and I just kind of like word vomited about a million things to you guys, and, talked about all the different ways that you can do this and that you can garner your own media coverage, spots on podcasts, newspapers, TV, like local TV, newspapers and everything. So I had put in local magazines. So I had put that into the notes for the week. And then we talked the second half of the meeting about what to do after you get something. So if you do get like a quote in somebody's article, like an article in the Palm Beach Post, or you do get to be a guest on someone's podcast or whatever, then, then we kind of went through like all the things you could do to maximize that coverage, that free coverage, and to repurpose it. Mm-hmm. And getting that kind of PR just lends so much credibility, because you're not paying for it. You're not paying somebody to say, Karen's amazing at what she does. Like they're showing that you're a reliable source and that you're an expert in your niche and your field. And Lauren, you were here last week, right? Okay. I just want to make sure. I thought you were, but I'm like, Let me not talk over you there. So we went through that really in depth last week, but really, really fast with a lot of information. So after I finished off last week, I wanted to talk this week about designing a PR kit or like a media kit. However, I got quite a few questions after last week just because we sped through so much info, and I'll probably have to break it down even more. When I sent out this week's email, I only put the first half of that meeting's notes in it. And I'll probably send out over the weekend, like the second half, like the what to do once you get it stuff. So like I said, it was so much info. I wanted to kind of break it down into chunks. And there were just tons of great ideas. And the woman that when I teach you guys about stuff like this, it's not because that necessarily that I've done it or that I know it so well. It's that I am a disseminator of information. I'm just like a constant student, right? And so I'm learning, listening to podcasts, reading articles, following blogs, looking it up on Pinterest, looking it up on Google. And I'm just gathering as much information as I can about the subjects that I think are important to all of us. And it's because it's stuff I want to learn too, right? And it's stuff that I want to apply to my business as well, because we're all in the same boat. And then I just disseminate it to you guys. So the cool thing is that I accidentally found this woman, and there's lots of women out there that talk about, or a lot of people out there that talk about this, about getting your own PR. But this one particular person who really, piqued my interest, and I'm like doing my research and I'm deep diving, on what she does, and she has her own PR agency and all, but she also sells a course that teaches people how to do this. And, and she gives away all this information on these podcasts and stuff. Well, she's from Wellington. So she's like right here local. Yeah. She was like a former news anchor, and she decided to do this, on her own. And anyway, so she's from Wellington, and then one of our members knows her. So her name is Christina Nicholson. She has like a lifestyle mom blog called Christina All Day. And then she runs a PR agency as well, and has a podcast called Media Maven. And that's where she gets really into a lot of this like free PR stuff. So, and then I heard her as a guest on someone else's website or somebody else's podcast as well. So I'm going to try to get in touch with her and see if we can't get like a question and answer session with her on one of our meetings, which would be just awesome, because I feel like she's a wealth of knowledge and a lot of information. But one of the things we talked about last week, and this is what I want to hit on this week, is that we talked about using HARO, which if you are not familiar, it's Help a Reporter Out. It's a website. That's what HARO stands for, HARO. And it's kind of like the Craigslist for journalists and sources, right? So if a journalist, no matter what they are, what kind of journalist they are, whether they're an actual TV person or a newspaper or a magazine or a national magazine, a podcast, like now some more non-traditional things are getting on there, like podcasters, bloggers, like people, big bloggers, or like big blogs, how there's kind of like blog hubs. Trying to think of one that's a good example. Oh my gosh, like BuzzFeed and like all the, like somebody who's like, they gather other people's content and put it together for everyone to read. So anyway, those type of things, they will post on this site, HARO. And as long as you're registered and you go in and you register, and you can do it for free, and you just like kind of, you know, your name and your credentials and what your specialties are, like what you're kind of looking to talk about. And then they put out, you know, like a message or an email saying, hey, you know, we're looking for a source. We're writing an article on this subject and we're looking for a source to, you know, to answer this question for us. And so then as you're receiving these emails, and I'll go through exactly how it works here in a second, you can respond and then possibly get chosen and be featured in someone's article or podcast or whatever it is, you know, that they're doing. So let me just pull up my notes here. Hang on. So after last week's meeting, I got a lot of questions about HARO from a lot of our members, you know, like exactly how do we use that and what do we do and how much does it cost and such. So just so you guys know, I'm going to go through this quick list here of more in-depth tips about HARO. And I went back to Christina Nicholson to find out the answers. And then I kind of listened to some other YouTube videos and stuff about HARO to find out what I could and what works on there, because it can be very overwhelming. But here's the ticket. There is a free version. So I would highly recommend you get on there and just sign up for the free version and just see what it's all about, you know. It can be overwhelming, but just, you know, go ahead, get on there, put your name on there, put your business, put your specialties, whatever they're asking you. There are paid like upgrades. And I guess you can read what those are. I mean, they're just like, maybe they're more specific. I don't think that you can get better leads. They just might be filtered better, right? So you could still possibly land like a really great article or something from the free version. It's just, I think the higher rated ones are a little more filtered so that you don't have to go through so many and looking at them. These things come out 3 times a day. So if you think about how many content creators and journalists there are in America that need content every single day, especially like people that are, you know, doing newspaper and TV, they need stories every single day. And so 3 times a day, you will get an email and you can choose to follow up on them constantly or look at them, or you can just choose like, hey, once a week, I'll dedicate, you know, a little bit of time to sit down and look at these. Whatever it is you choose, whatever works for you. And it also kind of depends on how serious you are about using this as a resource, because the tips that I can tell you are to, 1, be quick. So there's set time that they come out every day, these 3. Well, there are journalists on there posting stuff constantly, you know, that they need. And so if you see something that is a good fit, you see that, you know, there's an article being written in your specific niche, or maybe it's not even specifically in your niche, but like the question is just geared towards something you would know perfectly, and you want to get on this, then I would suggest getting on it right then and there. Because if you think about how fast the turnaround is, especially for daily media, you know, they need somebody quick. And there are thousands of people on here. So it's not regulated. They're going to check out the source. You know, they're not going to just, if they are going to use you and what you said and they liked what you said or how you answered their question, they're going to go check you out and make sure you're a legit person and that you are who you say you are. They're probably not going to do too much deep diving, but they do have assistants and people that can check up on those sources. So anyway, the first key here is to be quick if you decide to do something. Don't sit on it. Just better is done than perfect, right? And there are probably a lot of people responding. So the chances, I'm not going to say there's no chance. There is definitely a chance. I mean, absolutely, there's chances. But it just means if you're not quick, then you're going to be the one that's passed by. So the second part is, hang on one second. Oh, okay. I thought I heard my kids crying and I put them to bed really early, but I don't. That's like people outside. So second off, if you decide to respond to a HARO request, then what's going to happen is you're going to be sent an email, right? I mean, a bunch of emails, and it's going to have a query on it. Now, all these different queries, like separate little emails in there. And each one, it's not going to tell you who the source, like who the platform is. It's not going to, most likely, occasionally it will, but most of the time, you don't really know what who you're answering to. You're not going to know the name of the reporter, or if it's the Palm Beach Post or the National Enquirer or the Today Show or Joe Schmo local news. Like you don't really know, where it's coming from. So what you want to do is you want to respond right away, like we said, if it seems like it's something that's up your alley and that you would like to be featured in. And you the way you respond matters a lot, because like I said, they're probably getting a lot of responses. And so you want to do a few things to get their attention and to make it as easy for them as possible than to use you and what you're, what you're saying. So the first thing would be the subject line. So do not respond and say, hey, this is Leanne from the Mama Crush. I'm a personal stylist and I'm responding to your email query number, whatever. Don't even do it. All you have to do is cut and paste. Or copy and paste. So copy what their subject line of the email was and put it right into yours. Because if you think about it, especially daily reporters that are like newscasters or newspaper writers, they are probably working on several stories at once, right? It's a little different, like a podcaster or a blogger. They may only post on Haro once a week or once a month or whatever, looking for someone. But someone who is like a daily journalist is going to need to be putting stuff out there all the time and making queries. So you want to make it very, very clear for them. I am responding to this particular, email that you sent out or Haro request that you sent out. So you're going to copy and paste that exactly and put it right into your subject line. And then you're going to give them exactly what they want. So if the question is, let's say, I see one that I like. It says like, this article is going to be written about Mother's Day gifts or unique Mother's Day gifts. And we're looking for something along the style and fashion line. I'm going to be like, oh, how cool. I could buy a gift card from a personal stylist or something, so I'm going to answer that. So when I answer the question though, you want to answer it exactly as they're asking. I'm not going to answer that question and then also give them all these other ideas that I have and all these other things that I have. They are looking for the simplest, fastest, quickest way. They don't have time to read through all the information that you want to give out at the time. So answer it exactly as they're asking, and then also answer it as though the audience is reading it, right? They want to be able to cut and paste too. They just want to be able to take that right exactly what you said and put it right into their article or right into their news story or right into their blog that they're writing. So you want to be able to answer it exactly how you would read it if you were reading it yourself in a newspaper article or in a magazine article. So keep it short and sweet, give them the answer exactly as they want, as they have asked, and answer it just like you were reading it in a newspaper or a magazine. And then at the end of that, that's where you want to list your credentials. So then you would say, thanks so much for the opportunity. I hope to hear back from you. Lauren Reza, owner, Lactation is Lullaby, exactly how you want to say what makes you that expert, right? Karen Moore, owner, founder, More Insights, LCWS, like all your credentials right there. You also should provide a link. You cannot attach anything to these emails, so they don't allow you to attach stuff on these replies. So you would put links in there to just a couple of things. One would be your website. And so link back to your website. And then the other link would be to a headshot. So if your website has like a place on it that has media kind of stuff, headshots, great, you can link to that page. But otherwise, just set up like a Google link or something to a headshot. So something they could use if they need it, because those are the things that are going to be asked for the most. So this is exactly how you should answer it. At the bottom, you put, thanks so much. I hope to hear back from you, or I hope you're able to use this or whatever, and, sign it nicely, and then put your credentials and a couple of links. Don't get link crazy, but, just put that in there. And then you send it off, and hopefully you get chosen, right? If you do get chosen, so you don't know at this time, like who that was, right? But if you do get chosen, in all likeliness, they're going to reply back to you again from a personal email address, not from a Haro address. So they will reply, you'll get to know who the journalist is, where the article is being printed or used or whatever it is that, that they need it for. And here is where the good part is that now you can get a link, to that article or to that story or whatever it is, and then some of these things, it may lead into something else, right? It may lead like, hey, we use, your quote on our blog. We've decided to take it over to our news station and do a news story. I'm just, using an example. But so form a relationship at that point. Once you get a good email address. And when I say form a relationship, like just reply back again then, like, oh, I'm really excited, to see that you use my quote. If I could ever help again, here are my, areas of, specialty, and maybe, let them keep you in mind. Then maybe take that over to, take that name over to Instagram or to Twitter or to LinkedIn and find them and make the connection there. It's just to kind of keep your name, you know, fresh in their minds in case they ever need anything again. Also, next thing you want to do besides that is to set up a Google alert for your name and your business name so that you can know when something has been used of yours. You know, like I said, they're supposed to get back in touch with you and let you know, but if for some reason something pops up and you weren't sure, or maybe it's not as timely, like it's a magazine article, and magazines only come out once a month. I know I submitted a thing for an article in a magazine. It was supposed to be used in January, and then they said, oh, we're going to push it back. It's not going to use it till our March issue. And now I think it's been pushed back again. So I really don't know exactly when it's going to get used, if it does. But if it does, I've got a Google alert set up. So hopefully, you know, that would let me know. Yesterday when we were on our meeting, I know Karen, I think you know her, and I know Lauren does this, Diana, the kitchen prep. So it was funny because we're talking about this, and as we're talking about it on the phone, we get off our meeting, and let me see if she sent it on my phone or not, or if it was in. Anyway, the point is she screenshots a thing on her phone and says, this was right as you were talking about setting up Google alerts. And it was a Google alert that sent to her saying that her name and business name had been used in an article that she had, you know, gotten onto. It wasn't through Harrow, but it was through somebody that she met and, you know, linked up with or whatever, but she didn't know it was coming out either. So that was really cool. And I was like, oh, that's how appropriate. She's like, oh, it was like right when you were saying it. Let's see. I'm sorry, let me turn my phone off. So
easy to set up. I've never set up a Google alert. I don't know.
I don't know how to do it either. When I asked Diana, because after she did, I was like, how do you do that exactly? I've been telling everyone to do it, but I don't even know how. She's like, it's super simple. Just go in your Google account, like from your Gmail account, whatever, you know, whatever your Google account is. And she said, you can set it up on there. And I'm like, okay. So I haven't attempted it yet. I'll probably follow up with it and let everyone know in the notes this week because I'm not even sure myself. So let's see. Okay. So after all of this, this is just how to use Harrow. Although you can see how this could apply to outside of Harrow as well, right? So even though you're not going to get requests from random journalists, if you're chasing something or you have a great idea and you want to pitch something to someone that you know or that has a connection or someone you know made a connection with on social media, it's all the same thing. Like you want to keep it short and sweet. You want to, you know, be concise with the subject line, you know, the subject that you want to use. You want to make it all about the content. You're not going to go on and on and on about yourself and like, oh, and I've done this and I've done that. And da, da, da. Let's give them the idea that you have to pitch, what you want to say in that. And then, you know, I hope to hear back from you with your name and your credentials and stuff. I think it's just a really professionable way because like I said, they don't have a lot of time to like sift through all of your life story on there, right? They can find that out about you later. Okay, so then another thing we wanted to do on this meeting is talk about using a media kit or like a press kit. And I've had one pulled up on my computer. Let me see if I can find it. Just give me 2 seconds if I still have it up. Oh, I didn't shut it down. I might have taken it down because I want to show you guys the example that we have here. No, that's not it. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm going to pull it up and then I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So first, let me pull you all up. Oh, shoot. All right, where are you, Zoom? Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So a media kit is just something that you would use. The one I have an example of, if you guys have heard, I don't know if you've heard of Let's Get Social Palm Beach. It's like a networking group for women. I mean, women, you don't have to be a business owner, but you know, just women in Palm Beach County and a lot of bloggers, influencers. A lot of our members are members of it, a lot of business owners. And it's just a fun group. They do like a social event I think they do one a quarter, like they guarantee that you do one a quarter. And then because you're a member of this group, you have like access to the members or whatever. I mean, it's really like a fancy networking group, and it's very Palm Beachy. And it's kind of expensive to be in. When I came in, it was a lot less expensive, and then I guess you get grandfathered in, but now it's pretty expensive. However, I've met a lot of awesome ladies there. And I remember when I first started going to these events, I'm like, these are really fluffy. Like I'm not meeting a lot of people outside of my own little circle, right? But there are a lot of important women here, and like women who do a lot, women that I follow on social media and stuff. Uh, but then the last few meetings, I think that everyone was kind of saying the same thing. So the last few meetings, they started teaching us stuff. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. And that was kind of where the whole business casual thing was born, because it was some of our friends up here, Anna Bordner, Amanda, Diana, we were going to these things and we're like, these are fun and all, but we're not learning anything, we're not like really making great use of our time because we're just talking to our own friends the whole time. So that's how we came up with business casual. I like kind of where the idea was born. And we wanted to learn something every time we got together. But this last meeting that we went to right before all this quarantine stuff happened, they taught us how to make a media kit or a speaker kit. And the cool thing is, you guys, that you can do it for free in Canva. There's some great templates in there that you can use. It's free, and I'm going to show you the example that they gave us, and just so you have an idea. But again, it's probably even set up this way in Canva. But they did it for Let's Get Social. So this is the group Let's Get Social. Don't laugh at how many open tabs I have at all times. So on this first page, they have a 3-page one, and I'll tell you exactly what some of our members of Business Casual have said about this, but I'm just going to kind of show you the example here. So they gave this to us and they said, on this, we have our logo. These are the 3 founders, and then obviously like their branding, it's very Palm Beachy. Lily Pulitzer's was actually in the Lily Pulitzer store in Worth Avenue. And then they have kind of their motto, creating community over competition, and then their business name again. So this is what a second page would look like, and this is kind of the meat of the speaker kit. So they've got a couple of pictures in here so you can kind of see what their brand is and what they do. They're gathering all these women together. Here they are learning stuff. And then you're going to do like an about me section, your name, email, like the actual logistics of about who you are. And then your why, what, and how you're doing this, what you're doing. And then here's the what makes you special, just kind of adding in, any kind of little extra flair you have or something, that makes you stand out above your in your industry. And then also if you have worked with any other brands, if you've been featured in any other types of media, if you have worked with other bloggers, podcasters, if you have worked with any brands for some, and represented them. Lauren, I would think like, this is where you would put something with like the oil company you work for. You can pull logos off if you've been featured anywhere. If you don't have this yet, it's not a big deal. Or if you don't have it at all, it's not a big deal at all. But this is another just great place to put like that, some of that media coverage that we talked about. Like if I was featured in the Palm Beach Post, I would pull their logo in here and say, as featured in the Palm Beach Post. And then this is more geared towards working with brands, right? Because these are the numbers and the statistics that matter to brands, like social media followers, where you're located, and all these little special things here, right? All these little different statistics that you can get from your social media. So that is what's important to like a brand who is trying to get like a social media influencer. It may look different if you are a blogger and you're trying to work with somebody and you're putting this out to, like, let's say you're trying to promote yourself to a podcast, you're pitching yourself to a podcast to be on, and you want to send them the stuff so that they know this is the audience you have, and that they're going to get exposed to that as well. For us that don't own a business that's heavy on the social media following or whatever, I mean, I'm sure there are some stats you can find out about your business, or what you do that would be impressive on here to put on here. Ways to show that you have an audience or that you are an expert in what you do. There's just different things. So you can play around with this. Again, though, this isn't even required unless, I really feel like this is such a brand heavy thing. Like a working with brands kind of thing. And then I'm going to also give you a little bit of feedback from our members. So hold on a second. So do you guys know Holly Lucas? Lauren, I know you've met her, I'm sure, at a meeting before. And Karen, you may not have met her. But Holly is a local realtor, and she is, she owns her own real estate company. And we have several realtors in our group. But Holly is one, and she's a part of our group, and she was on the call yesterday, and I wanted to use her as an example because she's had her business for, it's almost 5 years now. It's coming up on 5 years. And I have never known anyone to take advantage of free PR and to be her own PR agent like this woman. So she just coming right out of the gates, like right when she started being a real estate agent, she didn't know what she was doing. Not that she didn't know what she was doing, but like she wasn't experienced, right? She didn't have her own company for very long. She'd only been doing it a couple of months. And she just started going out and like telling people, I'm an expert in this. I can answer these questions. I can do this. And making connections with journalists. And she started getting featured on the local news. Anytime they're doing any kind of story that has something to do with local housing market, or she specializes in spring training and like housing all the spring training baseball players and their families and stuff. So anytime there's anything around that, any buzz around that, she hops right in and she gets coverage, media coverage, right? So she's got her face all over the TV. Anytime in the newspaper, Sun Sentinel, Palm Beach Post, Jupiter Magazine, like she knows how to work it and make connections so that she can get featured in these types of things. And it's free, right? I mean, it's legwork. It's, you're using your energy to get this stuff, but it's free advertising. I don't want to say advertising. It's free coverage. It's free. It's free messaging. It's free. People see you as a reliable source, as an expert and such. So now, the other night, I knew she was doing this. I didn't realize it was going to be on now. And the other night, my husband comes running out to the back door, and I'm outside on the patio, and he's like, "Come in here real quick." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, got the TV paused, and he's like, "There's Holly." And she was on A&E. She's actually got her own A&E show coming out, but their show isn't out yet. They're still getting ready to film it. But she's doing these like little spots, and they're like commercials, and it's like all about staging your home or getting your home ready to sell or buying a home and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And actually, if you go on her Instagram, she just posted a little video of it. It's really neat to see, like, oh my gosh. But all of that she's got to that big stage now, like that big place, A&E, and she now gets paid to do these things instead of her paying. But it's all because she started just like, what we want to do. Like she just started local, and she, jumped at every opportunity to be on a speaker panel or to be on a podcast or be, there's local podcasters and this local, but they don't have to be local, but maybe somebody, maybe you can find out somebody or make a connection. Podcasting is really cool because you can be an interviewee or be on somebody's thing live talking and not have to be in the same town as them, right? Like you can do it over the phone, over the computer, and it's a really cool thing. And podcasting is one of those non-traditional media coverages that's really taken off and lends a lot of credibility to what you do. If somebody is willing to have you on their show and spend the time talking to you and learning about you and your business, then there's something there, right? It shows like they find you, see you as a reliable source. So anyway, getting back to that speaker page thing is that Holly popped in, like as I was talking about this little speaker kit, and she's like, guys, what Leanne's not saying, because I didn't even realize this, she's like, that is the most important part of all of this. If not with Harrow, because Harrow is kind of a different ballgame, but if you are going to pitch your ideas and try to get some media coverage from anyone, even if you just, meet someone who has a connection, somewhere, that this speaker kit is the most important piece. And Holly said they will not take you seriously unless you have this, and it's electronic. It's something you just email over. You could print it out, but you want to be able to put some links in there too. Like you could on that media kit, they didn't put it on there, but I would absolutely have a live link, back to my website and anything else you find pertinent, but you don't have to get too crazy with it. So she said that it should be, to her, it's a one-page thing. She's never had anybody want more than one page. She said that's kind of fluffy, but maybe it's a little different with brands because she's not working with brands. She's looking to get media coverage. And so if that's what you're going for, she said one page. Again, think time-wise, these people that are like on, full speed all the time. And so they don't have time to go through 3 pages. She said she's had reporters tell her, if I see an attachment and it's more than one page, I'm not even opening it. So, I don't have the time. So if you can get that down to one page. So to me, it's that middle page, right? It's that meat of it. It's the meat of the information. She also said on the little about me part, she's gotten from a lot of reporters to ask her to, and now she's changed it up. Her about me has a 1-line about me, a 3-line about me, and a 5-line or sentence. Sorry, 1 sentence, 3 sentence, 5 sentence, so that they can truly cut and paste out of there to put her bio into whatever they source her, whenever they source her. So I don't know, that was really interesting to hear from Holly. And like I said, if we're going to say someone's been doing it right, it's the girl that's showing up on my TV on A&E at 9 o'clock at night now. So we'd love to, once we get all together again, like pick Holly's brain a little bit more about that as well. So that'll be pretty cool. So that's just some ideas of what you could do with that speaker kit. I think that it's a good idea to do one anyway, and I'm going to do one for the Mama Crush and for Business Casual this week. But I think it's a good idea to do it anyway, because even if you aren't going after any type of media, just what if somebody asked you like, hey, would you come speak at this? Or, hey, do you have time to sit on this panel? Or, just at any time. And it's just something that you'll have in your, electronic file that you can just email out right away. And, just if an opportunity ever came about, I think it's a great thing to be able to send over to somebody. Or if you have a potential client or customer who's kind of on the fence, it's also something you could just shoot over to them as well. So just, I think it's a good thing to have. Holly did say too, another tip that she would give all of us is that all of these local news stations, the WPTV, I don't remember the letters to the other ones, but all the local ones, they have their reporters, but they all have junior reporters. And she said, if these kids, call them kids, they're probably, in their 20s, whatever, these starting like cub reporters though, and it's probably the same in the newspaper and the magazines as well, although she was specifically talking about TV, is that their job is to just come up with content all day long. Find stories, find stories, find stories. And Holly said, those are the first guys I went to. And I said, here's an idea for a story. Here's an idea for a story. Here's an idea for a story. And I just go at them and I don't stop. She goes, after the first 1 or 2 times and they realized I had some good ideas, I was in their pocket. Then they called me every single time they had something or they needed something. And so that's how you that's her trick, of like getting in with the TV people, because that to her was really important. So I thought those were really cool tips from her. And what else? Okay, so that's all we went through this week. I feel like this whole PR thing is really a lot of info, and we just only covered 2 subjects of it today. Last week was crazy. I may move on to something else next week, unless I can get either Christina Nicholson to come on and do something live with us, or well, I was going to say if we can meet in person, but we're not there yet, so never mind. So if I can't get her to come on yet, then we'll move on to another hot topic next week, but then we'll come back to this. So because I think this is really good thing to keep going with. I feel like every single woman in our group, no matter what you do or who you like, what your business is, if it's a service, a product, whatever, deserves this media attention. Like we're all like, everyone's so smart and everyone is so driven, and we're only in this group to make ourselves better and to get through this whole quarantine thing, right? And nobody joined the group so that we could give up. And so what better way than to try to get some free PR? And in fact, I consult for 2 businesses and I'm suddenly like, oh, we need to get y'all some free PR. I mean, I do like copywriting and stuff, but I'm like, we got to do this. So cause I'm all like pumped up, calling the kettle black though, because I still need to do it for myself as well. So, and I saw Holly later in the day yesterday, and she lives in my neighborhood, and she's like, why haven't you been on TV and you've been in the newspapers and stuff? I'm like, girl, I can preach this stuff all day, but I haven't done it myself yet. I'm like, all these kids home from school right now. Oh my gosh. But it's there. I do think it's really important. And I do think I need to pursue it. So I hope you guys will too. Couple other things before we get off. I know it's getting later. I don't know if either of you heard about, there's a book club that Sahili started, and it's a business book club. Their first meeting was actually last night. I couldn't even join it. Like I knew my mom was coming over last night and I couldn't be on it, but they were going to pick a book and then pick the next time they talk so that or they get together and discuss so that I can let you guys know sooner. So if that's something of interest to you, you can either DM me, shoot me an email. I'm going to send the info out to everybody, but just kind of be on the lookout for that as well. And then the Facebook group too. And if both of you, I think, have joined the Facebook group, right? The BCM members one. If you haven't,
though, right?
what's that?
You changed the name to it?
I actually, yes. So what I did is the original private group was kind of anybody and everyone who had ever been to a meeting before. So there's, a lot of women in there who wanted to join it. So what I did is I kept that group there because I didn't want to lose those people. They're kind of like hot leads, right? Like to join our group. So they just couldn't join right now or didn't want to join right now. So I just changed the name of that group to like the Keep Me in the Loop group. And I'm just going to stay like in there every once in a while, just saying like, hey, we have these meetings if you guys want to come. But I started a separate one called BCM members. And that's for you guys specifically, the paying members. So if you go to the page, go to groups, there should be 2 groups. So request to be in the BCM members. Those that I invited, but it didn't let me invite everybody. I don't know why. I couldn't figure all that out.
Yeah, I just requested. I was in the like Keep Me in the Loop one.
Okay, all right. So if you request that, we have 40 something members and there's only like 20 in something in that group right now. And it's not that I feel like everybody has to be involved in the group. It's just that I want to have a place where I can send out information besides just emails. All right, good. I see you here. Okay, I approved it, Karen. Just so we can stay on top of things that are going on.
So do you know what night they chose for the book thing or no?
I don't, and I just didn't get a chance to talk to Sahili today. I actually got my hair cut today, you guys, the first time in like 12 weeks. It was very exciting. I had my stylist come over to my house and she did all of our hair, like all 5 of us in the house. This afternoon. So that took up a while. So I didn't get a chance to talk to Sahili. But I will follow up with her before I send out another email this weekend and find out what book they chose and when's the next time they want to talk about it. So, and like what their rules were. Like they were going to set a pace for it and everything, like how quickly to keep up and stuff like that. So that's it. That's it for this week. Just keep following those emails, lots and lots of notes in there. And I try to like put all these good little pointers that we get from our members in there. And that's about it. I hope to see you guys next week. I'm glad you could come tonight, Karen.
Oh, I've been having clients every Wednesday at noon. So I'm like,
well, that's a good thing though.
I know.
That's a good thing. So are you doing client meetings over the like Zoom? You are?
Yeah. We're talking about going back the week of the 18th, just like 2 of us in the office at the same time only. But
good luck. Have you been staying busy though? Have you guys been staying pretty booked or?
I lost a few clients in the transition because some had like the honeymoon stage of quarantine and then some didn't want to do telehealth.
Right.
But I did have an intake this week for the first time since quarantine started. So we'll see.
Good luck.
Come on, people. Mental health is an issue right now.
Especially right now. It's so true. My son, he sees a therapist in college and he came home when all this started happening because they stopped, they couldn't be at college anymore. And then he's home and he's quarantined. And I just didn't even think about it. My 2 older sons, they've been at their dad's this whole time, which is weird too, because it was kind of an accident. Like usually they're here and they were visiting their dad when all this started. And I was like, you know what, why don't you guys stay down there a little longer? Because it's just 2 less giant people for me to feed and clean up after, right? So I was like, why don't you guys just stay down there for a little while? And they're like, okay. 8 weeks later, like my kids are down at their dad still. I've seen them like twice. Stinks. But anyway, I said to his stepmom, she and I were talking and I was like, did you guys get Campbell like to see a therapist again here? And she said, no. And I was like, you might want to look into that because this is hard for anybody, but much less somebody who is already used to seeing a therapist and like talking to them and stuff. I'm like, this could be kind of detrimental, like might not be the best thing to stop it right now. But he's a teenager. I don't know how keen he would be on talking to somebody on the computer. I don't know. Maybe it'd be perfectly for him because
Yeah, I mean, one of my kids, she's a junior, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like she wasn't motivated when it was in-person sessions, and now that
Mm-hmm.
it's on the computer, it's like she can be more comfortable and do stuff.
Maybe because he's not a very socially comfortable person, but maybe being on the computer, I actually be better. I don't know. I didn't think about that. I'll have to talk to them again and see if they've followed up because I wondered about like what you're doing. I mean, I've wondered about every one of our members, like how is everyone handling it, you know, and doing what they're doing. I don't know, Lauren, how's your business going? I mean, the oil part of it. I mean, the lactation part's probably tough, but
yeah, lactation is tough. I did like a couple in person or like online ones, and so that's okay. But yeah, oils has been crazy because everyone wants hand sanitizer and vitamins, and
that's true. Yeah, it's kind of healthy lifestyle kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been good, and actually just got like a couple business offers this week to do stuff with lactation when everything like settles
down. Good.
With like companies and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Good for you guys. Personal styling sucks right now. Like there's no personal styling going on. But the nice thing is it's given me a lot of time to focus on business casual, right? And to like get really into it and turn this into exactly what I want it to be. So it was kind of the kick in the butt I needed to like make this a real membership and, you know, and give really good content and stuff. So that's been a good positive part. And then I've been doing like consulting for a couple of women, like websites and stuff. And then, I might just expand my consulting part because that I can just do so easily from home. So, but
everyone's fashion is out the window for sure.
Oh my gosh, like my slippers.
You could do some piece about like waist up fashion or something.
You know, I did a post about it, about like what tops to wear on Zoom calls, and I'm totally breaking my own rules tonight. Truth is, on Thursdays, like Wednesdays, I get all dolled up for our meetings. And then on Thursdays, because it's so late, I forget about it during the day. Fortunately, I've already done the Wednesday meeting. So I like already have my notes and everything and then the notes from stuff. So it hasn't been hard, but I do like 7 o'clock. I'm always like, oh my gosh, I gotta be on a meeting in an hour. And so I'm never prepared, like appearance wise, fine notes wise and stuff, but appearance wise, I'm never prepared. So it's true business casual. Like, is exactly what it meant.
Here, I'm wearing pajamas all day, every day. So.
Have you? I've been getting dressed.
Up is
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Your next thing will be how to pair your quarantine mask with your outfit, right?
Yes, I know. Well, my quarantine mask, or my mask that I have, a neighbor had made it for me. She was a customer of mine before I became a stylist. I owned a boutique, and she was a customer of mine. And she made me a leopard print mask because she's like, I know how much you love leopard print. I'm like, that was the cutest, sweetest thing. Like, I don't even talk to her ever anymore. And she just dropped it off because, not that I don't talk to her on purpose, it's just we're not friends, but she was an old customer and she dropped it off and said, I just knew you would love this. So that's my cute quarantine mask. But all right, ladies, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for coming tonight, and I hope to see you again next week. And stay tuned to your email.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.